Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to cilinixfxcapital. Hope you're all doing great, and welcome to this new video right here on altcoins. It's been a while since I covered altcoins specifically. I mean, to be fair, it hasn't been very interesting to cover in the last 2 months or so, since the 10th of October. But we're covering it again today. So for those of you who don't know, we'll talk about altcoins. We'll talk about what to expect from altcoins. We'll talk about the current structure for altcoins. We'll talk about whether it's a good opportunity to buy altcoins. Normally, I also cover some specific altcoins that I would like at the moment. But when I'm being completely honest with all of you, there's just nothing at the moment when we're talking about altcoins that I like a lot. And there are some bigger altcoins that I like, or at least that I can see myself buying. So we'll talk about those, but those it feels a little bit wrong to call those altcoins. And the title of the thumbnail or something is always Altseason update. I think it's very clear. If you look at the daily time frame of this chart is the total of 3. I think it's pretty clear that we are not in an alt season, and I think it's pretty clear that it's unlikely that we are going to get into an alt season, given the way that Bitcoin looks. I mean, Bitcoin has, for the first time since 2023, fallen below the weekly trend and fallen below the yearly rolling VWAP. Historically, that's a bad sign for the year afterwards, right? And we fell down below that about 1 month ago or so, a little bit less even, I think a couple of weeks. So that would still mean 11.5 means of relatively bearish pressure. However, even in the most bearish markets, when we're talking about 2022, when we're talking about 2023, altcoins do perform well. And there are always altcoin rallies, and there's always good times to buy altcoins, whether you like it or not. So that is what we're going to talk about. Like I said, there's no specific altcoins at the moment that I like very much. I think XRP structure-wise looks pretty good, and there's some specific fundamentals that actually benefit Ripple at least. XRP not per se, but that could be a little bit of a trickle-down effect, of course, at some point of time. And I think Solana is also at a very strong support level here, and that has negative funding rate. So that means that if you build some sort of a long position on Solana, that you actually get paid those funding fees, which could be interesting if you're a Solana believer. I'm a little bit on the fence about that, but that's what I want to say about specific altcoins. When we're talking about altcoins in general, I mean, first some things that we just need to acknowledge is that we are in a downtrend, right? We're trading below all the relevant VWAPs, and on the daily time frame, we are trading below the trend. If you zoom all the way out, you could still say that this is an uptrend, right? Even though we are trading below the weekly trend. We've done that before. We've done that before April 2025. April 2025, you can see right here, we traded below the weekly trend, not below the entire trend band though. Which is a little bit different right now. Right now, we have actually closed below that. But what that means is that on the higher time frames, if we see very bullish development when it comes to the fundamentals, I would say, purely objectively, need to refresh the camera real quick. Purely objectively, there is a chance that we reclaim the uptrend on the weekly time frame and that we get some bullish momentum. But the thing is, I mean, if I'm not going to talk about that until it happens, right? So at the moment, I would say we're still trending down, both on the higher time frames, but also on the lower time frames. On the weekly time frame, we have a chance to reclaim that. However, and that is still the case right now. And I also think, from my personal perspective, at the moment, the sentiment when it comes to buying altcoins and the timing when it comes to the year, December is never an amazing time for altcoins in general, right? So I do want to stress once more that we're talking about altcoins all bundled together. There will be altcoins that 2x in December, right? It's always a possibility, but I'm talking about them together. December, not great timing. Ultimately, right now, the circumstances are not amazing. However, we have a strong support level coming up. And that's this support level right here between 800 and ultimately $750 billion. So that's the entire level down here. We have already tapped that level once, as you can see right here, the 21st of November. I think it is quite likely that that is going to serve as a point where we can actually see some more distribution or accumulation. That is always easier to see in hindsight. For now, I would say a short-term accumulation point. So that does mean short-term, I'm still bearish on altcoins, both from a technical sentiment perspective. Fundamental perspective, we've had some bearish fundamentals coming in this morning, but the fundamentals actually last week were not bad. And at the moment, they also do not look too bad. If you look at equities, if you look at Bitcoin bottoming, if you look at the volatility index, But like I said, altcoins specifically still look relatively bearish. I think we're going to push down into that generally. And I think there we can actually find some longer term support. So if you would like to accumulate some short or medium term positions on riskier altcoins, I would wait for that. And then the main target or the main resistance level I think we can aim for is sitting around 950 and $960 billion. But that remains something for the future. For now, we just need to bottom out. And I think it's more likely short term that we're going to have a little bit more bearish pressure, that we're going to push down into that level, then find support, then some sort of accumulation, and then short term bullish momentum. But I'll keep you updated on that. For now, I think that's what you need to know. Have a safe week, everybody. It's bound to be a volatile week for sure. And I will see you all in my next videos. Take care and bye.